In esports, some wins are just wins, but others become the stuff of legend. Today, we're going to dig into some of the greatest comebacks in history. We're going way beyond the scoreboard to figure out that perfect storm of skill, pressure, and just pure belief that lets a team snatch victory from the absolute jaws of defeat. So how are we going to break this all down? Well, first, we'll start with the basic DNA of any good comeback. Then we'll get into those heart-stopping, on-the-edge-of-your-seat moments where one wrong move means you're going home. From there, we'll look at the incredible mental game of the reverse sweep, and even some wins that were so absurd they kind of bent the rules of the game itself. And finally, we'll talk about why these stories stick with us. It's moments exactly like this, the caster's voice cracking, the crowd just erupting, that are the lifeblood of esports. That sound you're hearing? That was OG turning a championship they had all but lost into an absolute legend at the International 2018. It is the absolute peak of competitive drama. But what's really going on under the surface of all that hype? I mean, is it just a lucky break, or is it this perfect storm of strategy, mental toughness, and a flat-out refusal to give up? That's the big question we're here to answer. Okay, so let's get into it and start with the core anatomy of any comeback, because it's never ever just about the numbers on a screen. It's all about the human element, under what has to be almost unbearable pressure. So every legendary comeback really has 4 key ingredients. It always starts with an immense deficit, this huge mountain you have to climb. Then you've got that crushing psychological pressure, that little voice in your head screaming that it's hopeless. But out of that chaos comes a single pivotal moment where everything just flips. And all of it is fueled by this unwavering belief that it is not over till it's over. All right, let's kick things off with the most dramatic examples out there, clutching from the brink. These are the comebacks where a team is literally one mistake, one single second, away from total and complete defeat. Our first case study is the VCT lock-in grand final back in 2023. So Fnatic were up 2-0, looking completely unstoppable. But Loud, the defending world champs, came roaring back in front of their home crowd in Brazil, forcing a final winner-take-all map. And on that final map, oh man, the situation was dire. Loud just stormed ahead to an 11-3 lead. They only needed 2 more rounds to complete the reverse sweep and win the whole thing. The arena was absolutely deafening. To stay alive, Fnatic had to win 9 straight rounds. 9, just to force overtime. In a hostile arena, against a team that had all the momentum in the world, it seemed totally, completely impossible. And yet, round by round, they silenced that crowd and clawed their way back to one of the most insane victories in Valorant history. Now, let's look at a really similar situation from the 2018 Boston Major. At this point, no North American team had ever won a CSGO Major. Cloud9 were the last hope, and they were up against the European super team FaZe clan in the grand final. FaZe pushed to a 14-9 lead, just 2 rounds away from lifting the trophy. And right here, this is that pivotal moment we were talking about. With just seconds left on the clock, FaZe rushes the B-bomb site. The only player there is Stewie2K, and he has just 3 bullets in his gun. He somehow gets an unbelievable 4K, that's 4 kills, sends the game to overtime, and Cloud9 rides that insane wave of momentum all the way to making North American history. But what happens when you have to keep that clutch performance going not just for one map, but across an entire series? That's when you enter the realm of the reverse sweep. The anatomy of a reverse sweep is basically a masterclass in psychological warfare. First, you're down 0-2, feeling completely demoralized. Then, you somehow find a way to stop the bleeding, get 1 win on the board. All of a sudden, you can feel the momentum shift as you tie the series up. And finally, you just ride that incredible wave to complete the impossible. Just look at DRX at Worlds 2022. They go down 0-2 against the defending champs EDG. And Game 2, it wasn't just a loss, it was a soul-crushing defeat. They were literally one single hit away from winning, only to have an enemy inhibitor respawn at the last possible second, which cost them the entire game. To mentally bounce back from a loss that brutal and then win 3 straight, it's just unbelievable. But if we're talking about comebacks that just defy all logic, nothing compares to the Minnesota Rokkr in the 2021 Call of Duty League Major. They were in a best-of-9 grand final against Toronto Ultra, and they went down 0-4. 4-0. No team in history had ever come back from that. Ever. I mean, just think about that hole they were in. Toronto was 1 map away from a clean sweep, but Rokkr won the next one, and then the next, and the next. They just reeled off 5 straight maps to turn a 4-0 deficit into a 5-4 championship win. It is the greatest comeback in Call of Duty history, period. But, not all comebacks are about pure grit. Some of them are just so strange, they feel like they break the very rules of the game. These are the wins born from this wild mix of absurdity and pure, unadulterated genius. We've got 2 incredible examples for you. On one side, you've got this battle of pure endurance from CLG, who just refused to lose. And on the other, a battle of bizarre mechanics from Na'Vi, who exploited a broken game interaction to win a game they had absolutely no business winning.
Back in 2012, CLG was facing Moscow 5, who were the best team in the world. They fell behind by over 25,000 gold, which is an almost unthinkable deficit. They were literally trapped in their own base. But for nearly an hour, they just held on, defending wave after wave of enemies until their own characters got powerful enough to finally win one single teamfight, and it turned the entire game on its head.
And then there's the fountain hook. At the International 2013, Na'Vi was getting absolutely demolished by Tong Fu, so they resorted to this. A bug, a broken interaction, an exploit. You can call it whatever you want. It required pixel-perfect timing between 2 players to literally yoink an enemy hero from all the way across the map straight into their fountain for an instant kill. It was absurd, it was hilarious, and it won them the game. So after looking at all these unbelievable moments, from sheer willpower to these clever game-breaking exploits, what is it about a great comeback that just hooks us so deeply? What it really all comes down to is this. A legendary comeback is a perfect storm. It takes the mental fortitude of Fnatic facing that 11-3 hole. It takes the ice-in-your-veins clutch of a Stewie 2K with just 3 bullets. It requires the unstoppable momentum of a 5-map win streak. And sometimes, it requires the audacity to see a solution nobody else does, like the fountain hook. Ultimately, these stories just resonate with us because they're the ultimate underdog narrative, right? They're this powerful, tangible reminder that even when everything is going wrong and the odds feel like they're 1,000,000 to 1 against you, resilience, belief, and a little bit of brilliance can make the impossible possible. It's really the peak of what makes competition so compelling. It's the reason we keep watching. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. What's the greatest comeback you've ever seen in esports or, hey, anywhere else? Thanks for tuning in.